Welcome to Kids Beyond the Pitch, the Kids for the World podcast exploring the impact of football kits on sustainability, social change, and the broader sports industry's environmental responsibility.
Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. You know, it's wild to think that someone buys a new football shirt like every 2 seconds.
Every 2 seconds.
I mean, seriously, every 2 seconds. Makes you wonder, right? Why are we so obsessed with these things? I mean, what is it about a football shirt that makes us want to spend, a good chunk of change? So today, we're going to tackle this whole world of football shirts.
Yeah.
From how they started, way back when, to the massive business they are now. We're going to look at the whole pricing thing, try to figure out why they're so desirable.
It's interesting, right? They've gone from just something you wear on the pitch to these cultural icons.
Oh, yeah.
Fashion statements even. Some people see them as investments.
Yeah, for sure. So let's kick things off with a bit of a history lesson. You might be surprised to learn that way back in the early days of football, there weren't really uniforms.
No.
Can you imagine players just running around in their regular clothes?
It's a far cry from what we see now. All the high-tech stuff.
Totally. So when did teams actually start wearing shirts?
Well, you got to go back to 1857. Sheffield FC, the oldest club, they used red and dark blue flannel caps.
Flannel caps.
Flannel cap.
That's a long way from the shirts we see now.
Totally different.
So when did the actual shirts come in?
It started in the late 1800s. Clubs began dyeing their shirts in specific colors, adding logos, creating their own look, turning their shirts into symbols of the team.
Right, like team pride.
Exactly. Team pride, loyalty.
Yeah.
And then in the early 1900s, boom, numbers on the back.
Makes sense, right?
Easier to tell who's who.
Totally. So it seems like those early changes really set the stage for everything that came after.
Definitely. It's like they laid the groundwork.
But then things really started to change in the 70s, right? That's when football shirts got,
They got stylish.
Yes.
1970s, a wave of experimentation with color and design. Think Palermo, Hamburg, pink jerseys. Pink. Bold move. But the big one in the 70s, sponsor logos.
Oh, yeah, that was huge.
Changed the game.
Suddenly, those shirts were like walking billboards.
There's big money for the clubs.
Had to be controversial, right? Some people weren't happy.
Oh, absolutely. 1973 Braunschweig, German team, they're the first. Jägermeister logo right on the shirt.
Wow, can you imagine the reaction?
Huge uproar. Some saw it as selling out.
Right, the sport becoming too commercial.
But others, they saw the potential, the money it could bring in.
It's crazy how that one decision basically created the billion-dollar industry we see today.
It's wild, isn't it?
And speaking of money, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The price of these shirts, they seem to be getting more expensive every year.
It's a common complaint from fans.
I'm sure you've heard it.
All the time.
Huh.
A shirt today can cost 3 times what it did 30 years ago.
3 times?
Right, but hold on, we got to consider inflation, right?
Okay, so inflation plays a role.
Right.
But how much does it really affect things?
So since 1992, the average inflation rate has been about 2.8%. So a 30 shirt back then would cost, let's say, around €70 today.
Wow, so just to keep up with the cost of living.
Yeah, things get more expensive over time.
So maybe it's not all about the brands being greedy.
Maybe not entirely, but inflation's just one part of the story. There's more to it, more that affects the price of those shirts hanging in the shop.
Okay, I'm listening. What else is going on?
One big thing, what we call authentic shirts, designed for the players, on the pitch.
So they're like the top of the line version.
Yeah, high tech, using the latest materials and technology, comfort, performance, all that.
So like the Ferraris of football shirts?
Exactly. And just like a Ferrari, they come with a Ferrari price tag. But then you've got replica shirts.
Right, the ones most fans buy.
Those are made for everyday wear. Comfortable, relaxed fit.
So if I'm just a regular fan wanting to support my team, the replica is the way to go.
Makes sense, right? More affordable.
Yeah.
Still lets you rep your team.
But I bet those authentic shirts are getting more popular.
You're right, they are. People want that authentic experience.
Right, want to wear what the players wear.
They feel closer to the team that way, like they're part of it.
And they're willing to pay more for that.
They are?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm still curious about the actual costs. What goes into making one of these shirts? From the factory to the store, the whole thing.
All right, let's break it down. Let's use an example. Germany's 2018 World Cup kit.
Okay.
There's a study on this by Dr. Peterman, a sports marketing guy. He found that the manufacturing cost for that shirt, actually making it and getting it to Adidas' warehouse, was around €80.
€80 just to get it to the warehouse.
That's just the start.
Wow, so what happens after that?
That's when you add the landed cost. Basically getting those shirts from where they're made, usually Asia, to wherever they're going.
Okay, so shipping.
Yeah, plus insurance, customs duties when they arrive.
Sounds like a lot of hidden costs there.
Definitely adds up. So let's say the landed cost for our German World Cup shirt is another 60 euro. That means Adidas sells the shirt to the stores for 90 euro.
So a 30 euro markup?
Yeah, but the stores don't make a ton off that. They have their own costs, staff, rent, all that.
Right, so their profit margin isn't that big.
Probably just a few euros per shirt.
Okay. And then there are taxes too, right?
Absolutely. Usually around 20% of the retail price.
Wow, it's getting complicated.
There's a lot to it. Don't forget, Adidas' marketing, those ads with the star players, TV commercials, online stuff. And they have to distribute those shirts, get them to stores all over the world. And then there's the German Federation.
Right, they get a cut too, right?
Of course. Adidas pays them a licensing fee. So they can make and sell those official national team kits. Let's say it's €5 per shirt.
Okay, so if we put it all together, manufacturing, landed costs, markup, taxes, marketing, distribution, licensing fee, and then subtract all of that from the 90 euro retail price.
We're left with about €17.
17, that's Adidas's profit per shirt.
Approximately.
Still a decent profit though.
It is, but they are taking on a lot of risk.
Right, and covering all those costs.
It's not as simple as people think.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it than just the brand making a ton of money.
Exactly. It's a complex system.
Yeah.
But even with all that, the biggest thing that determines the price is demand.
Okay, demand. Why are we, the fans, willing to shell out so much for these shirts? Is it all about supporting your team?
It's a big part of it, for sure. But it goes deeper than that, you know? Think about it. When you put on your team's shirt, you're not just wearing clothes. You're representing something.
Like a symbol.
Yeah, like a symbol of who you are, what you believe in.
You're part of something bigger?
Exactly. And that feeling is powerful. Like, remember the 2018 World Cup? Shirts were flying off the shelves.
Everyone wanted one.
And demand hasn't really gone down since.
So those shirts, they really tap into something, some deeper feeling.
It's more than just clothes, right?
Right. So how does that compare to back in the day when replica shirts first came out? Were fans just as passionate?
Well, Leeds United, they were the first. Back in '73, they started selling replica shirts. It cost about €5 back then, which, if you adjust for inflation, that's about €60 today.
So even then, it was a chunk of change.
It was, and people still bought them.
Crazy how the whole idea of the replica shirt has changed.
It's gone global.
Totally. What do you think caused that?
The internet, social media, they've changed the game. Blogs, forums, all these online spaces dedicated to football shirts.
They created a community.
A global community. Yeah. These platforms, they've turned shirts into more than just clothes.
Like collector's items.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fashion statements. Some people even see them as investments.
Wow. So now it's about way more than just supporting your team.
It's about being part of a global culture, expressing yourself, maybe even making some money on the side.
You're right. And that brings us to another interesting part of this whole thing. The resale market.
The resale market.
Are you telling me people are making money buying and selling football shirts?
Oh yeah, big time. The market for vintage and rare shirts, it's booming.
Really?
Shirts are going for hundreds, even thousands of euros.
I had no idea. So who's making the big bucks? The brands or the fans?
It's often the fans. Sites like eBay are huge for this. People are buying and selling all these rare shirts.
It's like a whole hidden economy.
Driven by passion, nostalgia, the thrill of finding something special.
This is really eye-opening. The world of football shirts is a lot more than I thought.
It's deep, man.
It is. And we've only just started. There's so much more to explore, like how technology is changing things, the whole sustainability angle.
So much to cover.
I'm ready to hear more. We've done the history, the basic economics. Now let's dive into these trends and see where this industry is going.
Let's do it.
I'm excited to see what the future holds.
Me too.
So we've gone through like the whole history of these shirts, right? From those flannel caps to the crazy high-tech stuff they have now. And we even talked about like why they cost so much. But here's a thought. What does all this mean for the fans, you know, the people actually buying these shirts?
Well, I think it helps to understand how the whole market works. You know, like we see these headlines about 100 shirts and it's easy to get upset.
Yeah, feels like they're ripping us off.
But we've learned that there are real costs involved. And it's not like the brands are making a fortune off every shirt.
Right, like with that German World Cup kit, Adidas only made like 17 profit per shirt.
Exactly. But the main thing here is the price. It all comes down to supply and demand. People are willing to pay for these shirts because they mean something to them. It's about more than just the shirt itself.
It's about showing you're a fan.
Yeah, supporting your team, being part of something bigger. That connection, it's powerful.
You know, it's funny you say that because I've always felt like there's this emotional thing, like wearing your team's shirt during a big match. It's almost like a good luck charm or something.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Have you ever felt that?
Totally. That emotional connection, it's huge. It's about shared experiences, memories, that feeling of belonging.
Mm-hmm.
And the brands, they know how to tap into that,
Oh, yeah. They're good at making you want that new shirt.
They create that desire.
So it's not necessarily that the high prices are justified, but it's more about understanding why they are that way.
Right. Like there's a market for these shirts. And the prices reflect what people are willing to pay. Nobody's forcing us to buy them.
It's our choice.
We choose to because we love the game. We want to support our team.
But with everything getting more expensive these days, cost of living and all that, is there a limit to what fans will pay? Like, could there be a point where people just say, enough is enough?
That's a good question. It's hard to say what will happen, but it's worth thinking about. People are being more careful with their money, and they might start to think, do I really need a new shirt every year? Especially when there's the whole resale market out there.
Yeah, that's true. We talked about how you can find some great deals on older shirts.
And pitch shirts, yeah.
And if I remember correctly, the people making the most money aren't the brands. It's the fans selling those rare shirts.
You got it. It's a whole separate market out there, driven by collectors, people who are really into the history and culture of football shirts.
It's amazing, right? This whole other side to the industry.
It's pretty wild.
This whole deep dive has been really eye-opening for me. We've covered so much: the history, the economics, the cultural stuff, the emotional connection people have with these shirts.
It's been quite a journey.
And I think it's important to remember, beyond all the business talk, the numbers, the marketing, these shirts represent something special, They connect us to our teams, to each other, to the whole sport.
It's about the love of the game.
Exactly. But speaking of change, I'm curious about the future. Like, what's next for football shirts? What new trends are coming? What new technology?
Well, one big thing is sustainability. Brands are starting to realize they need to be more eco-friendly.
It's about time.
They're looking at using recycled materials, ethical production, all that.
So they're taking responsibility for their impact.
They have to. And the fans are demanding it too. People want to know that their money is supporting companies that do things the right way. It's not just about looking good anymore. It's about values.
So being a fan, it means more now.
It's about the bigger picture.
That's a good way to put it. So sustainability, that's one trend. What else?
Another interesting thing is this whole mix of football and high fashion. We're seeing more collaborations between sportswear brands and designers.
Oh, like those limited edition shirts that cost a fortune.
The ones that sell out in minutes, and then you see them online for 3 times the price.
Yeah, those.
It's all part of this athleisure trend. People want to express themselves through what they wear, even their sportswear.
So it's about style, making a statement.
It's not just about supporting your team anymore.
It's crazy to think how much football shirts have changed. They started as just a way to tell the players apart, and now they're all this fashion, investments, ethical statements.
They reflect so much about our culture.
It really is remarkable. And with technology always changing, who knows what's next? Imagine shirts with sensors tracking the players' every move.
Real-time stats right on your shirt.
Or shirts that change color depending on what's happening in the stadium.
Like a mood ring for the whole crowd.
That would be wild. It's like something out of a movie.
The future is coming fast. And when it comes to sportswear, anything is possible.
This deep dive has been incredible. It's amazing how something as simple as a football shirt can teach us so much about culture, economics, technology.
They're a window into our world.
They really are. But before we wrap things up, I have one last question for you. We've got all these trends happening at the same time: athleisure, sustainability, technology, and football is only getting bigger. What do you think this means for the future of football shirts?
It's a perfect storm, right? All these forces coming together. It's hard to predict, but if I had to guess, I'd say shirts are going to become even more personal and more interactive. Imagine customizing your own shirt, adding your own designs.
Like a one-of-a-kind shirt.
Exactly. Or even connecting it to your social media, so it's like an extension of your online self.
Wow, so you're literally wearing your digital identity.
And as wearable technology gets better, who knows? Maybe shirts that track your fitness or give you feedback during the match so you feel more involved in the action.
That would be next level. It's like having a coach right there with you.
The possibilities are exciting, but it does make you think, how will all this affect the fans? Will it make the experience better, or will it take away from the real thing?
That's a really good point. It's about finding the right balance, using technology to enhance the game, but not losing what makes it special in the first place. So as we come to the end of this deep dive, what are the main things you want our listeners to take away from all of this? What should they be thinking about, especially when they're wearing their favorite shirt?
At the end of the day, it all comes back to that idea that a football shirt, it's more than just a piece of clothing. It's like a symbol, passion, identity, all of that wrapped up in one thing.
It's kind of a powerful thought, right?
It is. When you wear your team's colors, you're connecting with people all over the world.
A whole global community.
Yeah. We talked about the money, the business side of it all, but what really matters is that emotional connection.
That's what makes it special.
Exactly. It reminds us that even in this world, with all the tech and everything, those human connections, they still mean something.
They're what matter most.
So next time you put on that shirt, think about what it stands for, the history, the people who made it, the fans all around the world who wear those same colors.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it like that.
It is. And it's all about that shared love for the game.
This has been a wild ride, wouldn't you say? Exploring the world of football shirts, from those flannel caps way back when to everything that's happening now and all the crazy possibilities for the future.
It's been a blast.
I'm glad we could take this deep dive together.
Me too. It's been a great conversation.
And to everyone listening, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep that passion for the game alive.
Keep the love going.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive.